Okay, so I'm going to take you through the caterpillar binding. Like most bindings, the beginning is the trickiest, and then it becomes very rhythmic, and you just follow the same process all the way through, and you shouldn't have a problem. But like I said, the start is the hardest. This is a 2-needle binding, so I have 2 needles right now, okay? I already have them through my first holes. You can see I've numbered them for you. And you'll notice that they're connected, okay? So in this example that's done, I took 2 threads and I knotted them together. In this example, I just had 1 long thread with a needle at each end. You don't have to have the same color going down. You can have alternate colors if you want, say a red and a yellow, blue and green, whatever. I personally tend to like the cohesiveness of one color, but it's up to you, okay? So I have my rows here. As long as they're in groupings of 2, you're all set. You can have 3 caterpillars, you can have more, as long as each caterpillar that you're creating has a set of 2 holes, okay? So I'm going to start you off. I have my first needle, okay, that's coming out of hole 1. I am going to take that needle and I am going to drop it down to hole 2, okay? So it will cross over to the opposite side and I will pull it through. I don't measure my thread for this. It's such a long binding that I will simply add thread when I need it, okay? Always add inside a signature. So after it comes out hole 2, I'm gonna pass it over again to row 2 as well. You'll notice in the example that's already done that you create a series of parallel lines. It's a really great way to keep track of if you're doing the right thing, because if at any point these get crossed over or X'd, it's a sign that you've done something wrong. So this comes over, okay? It's now coming out hole 2. I'm going to slide the needle under that first thread. I've lost my needle. I'm going to pull it through. My thread is thin. You want to use a traditional book thread for this. Okay, so I've put my thread back on the needle. So you can see that the thread is coming out hole 2 and it's going below this first thread. And then I'm going to have it go over that and it is going to go down to number 4, opposite column number 4. And I'm going to pull it through. Okay, if I can keep it from getting tangled. Okay. And then I'm going to pause right there. And I'm going to set my needle aside to the left of me. I'm then going to come and pick up my right side needle. It's already coming out hole 1. I'm going to take it down to the opposite side, hole 3, and I'm going to pull it through. Okay. I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to slide it through hole 3. So again, you'll notice that we are creating a series of parallel lines. Okay. Once that's through hole 3, I'm going to go below the 2 threads, okay, that are above it. And then once it's below, I'm going to go over and down to hole 5, okay. And pull that through. Now I know right now everything seems loose, but it's going to tighten up, so don't worry about it, okay? Now once I've done that, I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to take that thread that I just pulled through and I'm going to go across to create that parallel line. And I'm going to pick up that other needle that I had set aside, and I'm going to come across as well to create that parallel line. Okay, so you'll notice you have your start of parallel lines. Ignore all the extra holes down here. This was a scrap board I had, so I apologize for that. So right now you have a thread coming out hole 4 and hole 5. Okay, what I'm going to do next is I am going to take my needle on my left side, which is coming out of hole 4, and I am going to have it go over all the threads that are there except for the thread coming out of this first hole. Okay, oops. And I'm going to pull that up. Okay, so you see it right there. Okay, just going to rethread that needle. Once, so that's coming up, and then it's going to go over, and I'm going to take it down to hole 7, and I'm going to pull it through. Okay, and I'm going to set that thread aside. Then I'm going to pick up the needle on the right side. Okay, you'll see it's coming out of hole 5. I'm going to have it go on over all those pre-existing threads, so you'll notice I'm holding it over, and then it's going to go, I'm sliding that needle below all of those threads that are starting to overlap. The needle is coming in between this space of my 2 columns, and I'm going to pull it. Okay, and then I'm going to wrap it around in the same place again. I just lost my thread again. Okay, so I'm going to have it, and I'm going to keep it to the left of the thread I pulled through. So what we're doing here, see that wraps around one more time, and now I'm going to do it one more time. Now this thread, like I mentioned, is really small. Okay, it's really much too thin for this, but what we're doing is we're doing this. Okay, you'll notice that there are a number of threads right there, and that's what we're supposed to be doing here. And I am going to wrap it one more time just because it's thinner, but you should only have to wrap it about 3 times. Okay, once I've finished wrapping it, I am going to take it down to the opposite side that I started from, and it's going to go down to row 6. Oh, I did something wrong here, I think. My left needle shouldn't be going into row to number 7. It's actually supposed to be going into 6. So let me take that out. So that is going in hole 6. I'm going to pull it through. And my other needle that just came down, this one, is going to go to hole 7. Okay. So what you do when you then come over, you'll see that we need to go to the opposite side again for each of these to create those parallel lines. So there's my first parallel. And then I'm going to just do the other one. Okay. So you will have threads coming out hole 6 and hole 7, okay? In opposite columns. You're always kind of working them as opposites. So next is where we get involved with the repetition, okay? So it will start getting easier. So I'm going to start with my needle on my left side. It's coming out hole 6, okay? It's going to overlap a lot of these threads, okay? But I am going to slide my needle between 2 and 3, okay? So that needle will go between the holes of 2 and 3. So underneath that little wrapping that I did, and I will pull it like that. And this is what I was talking about, how you'll get tighter as you go. So after I do that, I'm going to wrap it 3 more times. So it will be wrapped a total of 4 times. Okay. Two. And you'll notice I'm always trying to keep it below what I had done prior, okay? Okay. That's 2. Try not to tangle your thread. Easier said than done, I know. Three. One more time, okay? And this wrapping is what makes these threads tighter, okay? 4. All right, let me bring that up to the camera. You see that? You'll notice here with the bigger, appropriately sized thread, it is much more of a statement, okay? That's small, but it still allows you to see the technique that we're doing. So after I have wrapped, okay, I am going to take this thread down. It's coming out from the left side. I'm going to cross over and go into hole 8. Okay. And I am going to bring that through to get that parallel line, just so I don't lose track later. Okay. And then I will set that aside to my left side. I'm going to pick up my needle on my right side. It's coming out hole 7 right now. Okay. And I'm going to take that And I am going to pause for a moment.